I will call this Wednesday, August 4th, Elyria City School Board of Education meeting to order. First of all, I would ask that everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andy, we couldn't hear you very well, number one, but secondly, we didn't do roll call also.
Okay. What was the first thing she said?
She couldn't hear you real well.
Okay. Let me bring this closer. Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. Okay. Madam Treasurer, would you please give us a roll call?
Ms. Karstafen?
Here.
Mr. Bax?
Here.
Mr. Ellick?
Here.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Here.
And Mrs. Seguin?
Here. Thank you. Okay, following the roll call, now I will give you the introductions, okay? To my far right is our board member, Elaine Seguin. Next to her is seated the Vice President, Mr. Jim Bax. And to my immediate left is Board Member Greg Ellick. Seated next to him is Board Member Mike Gebhardt. Seated next to Mr. Gebhardt is our Superintendent, Ann Sloss. And all the way at the end is our award-winning treasurer, Mrs. Joy Clickinger. And I am Board President Ann Karstafen. Okay. At this time, do we have any board recognitions tonight? No recognition. Presentations? No presentations. Visitors' comments. We have one visitor signed tonight. That is Eric Bowens from 1212 Lake Avenue in Elyria, and he's going to be speaking again regarding Ike Maxwell.
Check, check. Greetings to the school board. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
I am here, as the school board president mentioned, in regards to Ike Maxwell Appreciation Day. I do have an update. My chair's falling. Excuse me. Bear with me here. I'm short anyway. It don't matter.
Wow.
All right. So we have an update with the Ike Maxwell Day in regards. I know I presented to the school board last time I was here, but the only update that we really have is we changed the time. It is August 28th. It will be at 2 p.m. I'm just here today in support of the Ike Maxwell Appreciation Day. I didn't really plan to speak, but I felt like if I didn't speak, I wouldn't be doing my job. So we're just asking for the school board to support Ike Maxwell Appreciation Day, and we just really want to just present him his jersey at this time. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Board member discussion items. First, we have the OSBA Capital Conference delegates.
Yes, we need to elect somebody as the delegate and then someone as the, what's it called? Alternate.
Okay.
I thought we did that already, didn't we?
For this year, I don't believe we did that for this year,
I
no.
thought we did that at the beginning of the year. Okay, then I'm
No,
not.
you didn't do that.
Okay.
Well, if we did, was it you?
Yes.
I think it was Mike Gebhardt. Okay, so I believe then it would be Mike Gebhardt.
Was that on the committee assignments?
I think it might have
I
been.
think it might have been also.
Okay, so Mike Gebhardt.
Unless somebody else wants.
Then do we need an alternate?
Yes.
Jim Bax?
I'll do it.
Okay. That was easy. That was easy. Okay, now, I have a question, or...
We need to vote on it?
Do we need to vote? We're going to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, do we take care of other board member discussion items as well?
We can do it all in one roll call, yes.
Okay, well, in regards to other board member discussion items, I would like to discuss the Ike Maxwell Day. I would like to bring that to a discussion, and I would like to know how we are leaning in regards to our participation, because our superintendent is somewhat in a state of holding as to how she's going to proceed. So I would like to know how the board members are leaning.
Okay.
Who would like to go first?
Do you want to go first, or you want me? I can go first.
Okay.
Well, I think that if as far as the jersey and any communications from the school would be something that we should have the superintendent do. As far as any sort of board recognition, I guess I would start off and ask our council. I believe one of the requests I heard was possibly retiring a number. Is that correct? So I guess I would start off, since this board has never done anything like that. Attorney Lane, do you have any thoughts on the board getting involved with retiring numbers? Yeah. And if you'd like, come on down and.
It's been a while since I've been called up.
No.
All right.
Looking kind of white there, huh?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
As far as, just a general recognition, certainly the Board has the ability to do that, recognize the day in question. If we're talking about the retirement of a jersey for a former student athlete, I was here at the last meeting when this was first brought up, and knowing that this might be a continuing issue, I took a look at the issue as best I could. And there's nothing in the Ohio Revised Code or any other legal authority that I found which addresses or speaks towards this issue. I do believe, though, that it is within the power of the board to take such an action as far as retiring a jersey or taking some other recognition for the benefit of a former student athlete or a former student in general. But again, there's no plan or legal procedure for you to do that. So that's something that you're going to have to do on your own. I'm not speaking necessarily from, again, any kind of legal authority, but in my opinion, this is something that should be done under the framework of some set procedure, using some Board of Education adopted criteria to make that decision. There's been a lot of great athletes, a lot of great students that have come and gone out of our school system. And I think it's important that whenever such a nomination is made or a request is made like this, that those nominations be taken seriously, but also be all treated fairly and equally. And I don't know how you do that unless you have something put in place to begin with to know how to handle that question. So again, it would seem to me to be appropriate and reasonable that before the board made a decision on that, which it could, all right, without such a procedure, but I would think that it would be preferable to put in place to formulate a procedure, formulate some kind of criteria that the board can actually use on a case-by-case basis to determine whether or not the nomination is worthy of being approved by the board. And again, this is not necessarily just for the retirement of a jersey. It could be for other past student accomplishments or recognition by the board. Exactly what that procedure looks like or what that criteria is, that's something that needs to be developed. All right. I can give you some general ideas. This is just from my trying to contemplate what I might say to the board if called upon to speak on this issue. You could do something along the lines of creating a procedure where nominations are initially vetted by an administrator. And what I mean by initially vetted, not applying any kind of criteria, but simply just making sure that the person is eligible for consideration. Did they go to this school? Did they graduate? Did they play that sport? All right. And if such an initial vetting is passed, then you could actually appoint a committee that is called upon to apply Board of Education criteria to the nomination, to see whether or not, based upon that criteria, the nomination should be approved by the board. And if that committee felt that it was worthwhile after consideration of that criteria, they could make a report and recommendation to the board for the board to consider. And the board could make a determination on that nomination based upon not only the criteria that I mentioned, but also that committee's recommendation. And that committee could be members appointed by this board from the various different areas within the district, so that everyone has a voice, so to speak, on that committee. And again, if that recommendation is made, then it would be up to the board to make a final decision. Keep in mind, these are just thoughts. I'm just trying to articulate something that could be. It doesn't have to take that form. It could be tinkered with. As far as the criteria, this board can directly determine what that criteria is, or it could put it to the committee to come up with criteria to recommend to the board for its approval. Again, these are just thoughts and ideas. The main thing, though, is what I'm stressing is what I think is a reasonable approach is to create a framework so that the board can make a knowledgeable decision based upon a standard that everyone knows what it is. It's open, it's transparent, and everyone's treated equally. Again, this is not a legal mandate. This is just what I'm suggesting based upon your request for my opinion. And just to reiterate, this procedure could be used for a number of different types of student or former student accomplishments or acknowledgments. It doesn't just have to be a football player. It doesn't have to be a sports figure. It could be a recognition for someone in the arts or academia. I don't know. I mean, but that's to be determined if the board is interested in something like that.
Are you aware of any criteria in the past? Because I believe that as of right now, there is a number retired at the stadium. Are you aware of any criteria that was set by, I don't think anyone here was involved with that process.
No. That, I think what you're speaking of is the retirement of Mr. Janowitz's number.
Yes.
I have taken a look at the written resolution from the year 2000 when that was done. Again, none of the board members or the administrators that are here tonight were in your position at that time. It was a completely different board. It was a different attorney. I didn't even live in Lorain County at the time. But I have not been able to find anything, nor has that come to my attention, that there was a specific list of criteria used. That's not to say there wasn't, but if there was, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Any other questions for the attorney?
I think the committee is a good idea. Maybe we could get an athletic director or a couple of the retired, well, I don't know. I guess we have a couple retired athletic directors and like all areas of the city. I think that was a good idea. Put a committee together.
And like I said, that could come from the different areas within the district of the school district.
I do agree with the fact of having a committee, and I do agree that that would set a standard going forward. My question to you would be, how would we proceed considering we're talking a very short amount of time between now and August 28th, which is the issue that came up, which is the Maxwell situation. So for whatever recognition we're going to give in this situation or not give, putting a committee together would take longer for them to unite and meet than it would for us to get an answer back. So do you have any short-term?
Well, you're right. This is not going to happen overnight.
Right.
And again, I would stress that a lot of consideration be put into this because the decision on these kind of nominations are important to a lot of people. Not just the nominations, but family members and community members. So I wouldn't want to see the board rush into formulating a policy or procedure or criteria too early. Again, as I stated earlier, you're free to do it, to take action now without, it's not illegal to do that, all right? I just don't think it's a good idea. That's not to say that you can't make some type of recognition for Mr. Maxwell. You certainly are free to resolve to recognize his day and thank him for his accomplishments as a sports figure from the city of Elyria. You can even retire his jersey if that's what you want to do. But again, when you're going so far as to take an action like that, that's something that I would recommend you consider waiting until the procedures and criteria is in place to actually do that.
Well, one of the items that I believe was asked of this board was something about sending a jersey for the ceremony. So would the board be able to send a jersey for the ceremony, some sort of letter of recognition, and then still proceed forward with forming this committee? I think honoring somebody in perpetuity is a little bit different than honoring somebody at a special event.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with doing that without waiting for some type of committee to be formed. Again, I'm assuming that the school district has probably several sets of jerseys for the football team, many of which are not being used or not going to be used. So it wouldn't be a problem in my eyes to donate a jersey with Mr. Maxwell's number on it and make a formal recognition of his accomplishments, short of doing, taking the jersey number and retiring it. And then once you have a policy or a procedure in place, then any kind of recognition that comes before the board can go through this procedure. But given the time frame that the board is presented with regard to Mr. Maxwell, I don't think it would be inappropriate to do something along those lines.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could I add one thing?
Yes, go right ahead.
What if we, in the meantime, made his jersey special, meaning a running back had to earn it and wear that jersey? I mean, make it like a special jersey that...
Well, again, you're talking about something that would last, in perpetuity as opposed to a one-event recognition. And again, I think that's certainly open for the board's consideration, either now or after a policy or procedure is put in place. I would recommend something that's going to be permanent to wait until that procedure goes on. I'm not even quite sure how you make that determination as far as who gets the number, but I guess that would be up to the coach or something like that.
Okay.
But again,
Thought I'd throw that out.
sure.
Thank you.
Howard,
Appreciate that.
have you in your research, did you find examples of procedures or protocols that the board or the committee might use as at least a starting point?
I found one. I looked again. My first starting point was looking to the law to see if there was something there that I could bring to the board's attention. I also made a call to the Ohio School Boards Association as a member of the Ohio Council of School Board Attorneys to see whether or not they had any kind of guidance or recommendation in these areas. They have not called me back yet, but certainly if they do, I will talk to them. I expect what I'm going to hear is this is not an issue that they've dealt with before, but if they have, then I'll try to get whatever input that they have that I can share with the board. Short of that, it was really just a matter of going online and trying to find policies and procedures and examples from other school districts, not just in Ohio, but from around the country.
Right.
99% of what I found was we don't know what to do. We don't know what criteria, or there's no criteria, okay? Or, people arguing about what the criteria should be. I did find one guidance. Again, this is something I got from the internet. I don't know if it was adopted or if it's in place for a school district that I think is out of state. But they had a procedure very similar to the one that I'm talking to you about. And that seemed pretty reasonable to me. And so that's something that, I don't know, if I would adopt word for word
Right.
what they have, what they're using, but it's a starting place. But, that's a different committee, or excuse me, a different state, a different school district with different considerations that you might have. So it's something that you ultimately, as a board, have to make that decision, again, on your own or with recommendation from a committee that you appoint.
I think a number of schools around here have their own Hall of Fame within the school. I think the city of Elyria is unique that we have a city Hall of Fame. A lot of the other schools have their own Hall of Fame, so it's a little bit different, which we don't, so maybe why there's not a lot out there, so.
I don't know.
Well, I do like the idea of some form of a written recognition and a jersey on that day. The 28th, is it the 28th at 2 o'clock? Is it? Okay, I just want to make sure that I have it correct. I like that idea, and that gives us time, because as I'm hearing, people are constantly throwing names at me, of great athletes in Elyria, which is wonderful. And when, I'm sure after this, other people are going to be coming and saying, hey, we want to recognize this person or whatever, and we will have a procedure in writing that we will be able to follow once the committee is formed. And yeah, so I think that's great. That's wonderful.
I agree as well, because I've given it quite a bit of thought over the past 2 weeks, and yeah, I fully support a jersey presentation and I think you used the word proclamation, maybe of his achievements, because there no doubt they were great. But I just struggled with the jersey retirement with no parameters around it at this point.
Very good. Thank you.
And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but this process can be used beyond just the retirement of a jersey when it comes to recognition of former students' accomplishments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard.
Sure.
Okay.
And, one quick comment on that. If we're going to do this, we need to do it so it really looks nice, too, not like just given a jersey and it, framed and really looks good. So something we'd be proud of.
I will go ahead and work on the jersey and getting that situated. I would assume the board will work on the letter, or did you want us to handle that too?
Well, of course. Go right ahead.
I think I just walked into that one, right? Nope, I will take care of it.
How about a draft?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great. But I will work with the athletic director on a jersey, and we'll make it special and make sure that that is ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I'll
Sounds good.
work on that draft
Yeah. Yeah.
for you, Mr. Bax. Thanks.
Okay. Alrighty, so then for the motion, I would then accept a motion to both for the Ike Maxwell Appreciation Day and the OSBA. So
We can do it that way, or you can do it separate. And the other thing, we've got the OSBA Capital Conference to approve
Oh,
the
number
related
3.
expenses. But I would like to know if anybody's committed yet to going,
Well, I guess I just committed.
pretty much.
I guess I'm committed, short of what's going on with, the changes in COVID, and, I think that's my reservation, is what was happening there.
I do want to mention, if I could, that last year our choir was picked to sing at the OSBA, and they moved it to this year. So Kaylee Bonzio will be at the OSBA conference to sing. I nominated them a couple years ago.
Right.
Annie and I talked about it.
Yeah.
So if at all, we can be there to support if it is live.
Now, will that be at the Black Caucus dinner, or? will they
I'm
be
not
singing-
sure which part they're doing,
Okay.
but I will find out.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm more committed even. They're wonderful, yes. So anyone else, are you thinking, are you on the fence, or you don't know?
I just need to make sure I'm not on vacation.
Okay,
There's a 10% chance I might be out of town.
okay.
We're trying to true it up, so
I'll be there.
otherwise I'll be there.
I'm an alternate.
You're an alternate.
She's gotta
You
make
gotta
room
be there.
reservations.
You gotta be there.
I'm like you, based on COVID and
It's
how
based on
everything's going.
COVID for me, yeah.
Make those reservations.
I haven't
Okay.
got to go to one yet, since we didn't have it
Yeah,
last
you don't know
year.
what you're missing.
Lots of fun. Okay. You
So
learn a lot. You get
everybody's
to learn.
basically in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you get to learn. Breakout sessions are very good. Okay, so then I will entertain a motion that the board approve the Board of Education items as presented. Could I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Elaine Segwin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gebhardt. Are there any further questions?
I have a question. The, as presented, it doesn't include the letter and the jersey.
Oh,
So are you going to make a separate motion? Okay,
no.
Make that as, do it
You want it separate? Okay, we'll make it separate. Okay.
okay, that's my only question.
You ready?
Yes.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
yes.
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. At this time, I will entertain a motion that the board approve the Board of Education items pertaining to the Ike Maxwell Appreciation Day.
So I'll make a motion to, for the superintendent to draft a letter proclamation and also to a jersey presentation, a nice jersey presentation.
It will be
in
very
order
soon.
for
It'll be special.
was 28th?
Yep.
August 28th.
For Ike Maxwell Day.
Thank you. Could I
And make
put-
sure that
Oh.
Mr. Bax sees your draft.
Sees my draft, yes.
That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Elick and second by Mrs. Segwin. Are there any other questions? I have a question. Is it possible that I could have someone else there with me that day? I'm told that
I'm almost positive I will be there.
all right.
Friday or Saturday?
It's
It's
a
a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Is it 2?
At 2.
At 2?
Yes.
We'll come in our spirit wear.
Okay, I will-
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Downtown?
I'll be in
Elyria
LA,
High.
so I won't have.
Ooh,
There's a
okay.
good chance. I have a party in the evening, but this is at 2, so I'll
2
let you
o'clock.
know.
Okay, wonderful.
I'll see too.
All right, thank you. No other questions? Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Meeting minutes. The minutes have been posted. I will entertain a motion to approve the Board of Education records of proceedings for the meeting of July 21st, 2021, as detailed in enclosure F1. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Elick, second by Mr. Gebhardt. Are there any questions? No questions? Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt? Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you, motion carries. Moving on to G, Treasurer action items.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I just have 2 routine items. The first one is to acknowledge and show appreciation and accept the gifts and donations as listed in the agenda. And the second one is to approve the startup cash for the food service, for the PAC, and for athletics for the start of the school year.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the items recommended by the treasurer as presented.
So
Move to
moved.
approve.
Motion by Mr. Gephardt. May I please have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Bax. Any question for the treasurer? No questions. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Treasurer report.
The only thing that I ask is that, and this is back to Capitol Conference, we do have to be registered before we can get rooms. So I will register everyone and let me know if anything changes there.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Moving on.
Get his own name this year.
Moving on to K, which is superintendent's action items.
Thank you, Madam President. And first of all, we have to approve the agreement between Vincent and Elyria Catholic for the 21-22 school year, to approve the content of the Elyria City Schools and First Student Bus Handbook, to approve the payment of stipends as listed below, and that is all I have for action items tonight.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. May I please have a motion to approve the items recommended by the superintendent as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Elick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bax. Thank you. Any questions? No question. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to M, which is personnel action items recommended by the superintendent.
Thank you. First of all, we have to approve the resignation of the following certified staff, to approve the appointment of the following certified staff, and I do have a few here when we're done with this section, Madam President, and to approve the one-year limited contract for this certified staff member, to approve the supplemental contracts of the following certified staff, to approve the athletic supplemental contracts of the following certified, classified, and non-employees, and that concludes my personnel action items.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the personnel items recommended by the superintendent as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Gephardt. May I please have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Elaine Segwin. Are there any questions? No questions. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. O is superintendent's report.
Well, before I start that, I'd like to introduce.
Oh,
a few-
yes.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes.
It'll be part of my report. So first of all, we have Lori Davis here, and I'm guessing that's her over there with her cheering crowd. Yes.
All right.
Now, how did you get all these wonderful cheerleaders here?
So I work for Elyria Teens Achieve Success, and these are my teams.
Your people, huh?
So-
All right, awesome.
Support me.
Awesome. How many of you go to Elyria schools? All right, way to go.
All right.
Thanks for coming. And next, I believe we have our new psychologist, Ashley Graham? Angela Graham, okay, I'm sorry. I'm taking over for Jamie, so I failed. So you are a new school psychologist, so welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful.
And then we have also Stacy Gatton, the principal at Westwood Elementary. Two of hers could not come, but they actually wanted to at least give you a few lines, so she's going to read them.
Okay.
So since they wrote, we'll
You gonna
go
rap
for
it?
it.
I was going to try and get cardboard cutouts of them so they look like they were here. They couldn't come this time. They just wanted, and they both sent me just a few things, and it's funny because they were very similar. Just wanted to express their excitement for the upcoming school year, thanking everyone for this opportunity to grow personally and professionally within the district, and they're both very proud to be a pioneer. So,
Great.
Wonderful. That's great. That's wonderful.
And then on to my report. First, we received a thank you letter from the Lorraine County Public Health Department over the last year. Just a personal note from them thanking us not only for working with them all year, but also having the COVID clinics at the high school going above and beyond. And I know it took a lot of staff members to help with this, but I do want to give a shout out to Amy Higgins, who was our lead, and Natalie, who helped a lot with the staffing part. It was a year and a year.
Yeah.
And we came through it well, and they were very appreciative of everything we did for them. Also, wanted to remind everyone to put on their calendar our big tailgate party that will actually be at the stadium under the pavilion. And we have some fun things planned, hopefully earlier in the day, for a welcome back for students also. So more to come on that. We're getting ready to get our plan together, but I will speak to that for just a minute. Some have asked why our plan has not been out. We did send a newsletter out a week or so ago. Amy Higgins sent out just saying right now, we are in summer mode and optional with masks. And we start late compared to a lot of districts. Because things are changing daily, we want to get the most up-to-date information. So we're going to wait another week or so and listen to the health professionals and see what's going on. But if anyone does have questions, please don't hesitate to email or call us. We will help you as much as we can with your questions. So, but that is it. We are excited. All of our sports are out and practicing. We had a great pantry on Monday, and we saw a lot of young athletes heading to, I don't know if they were as excited to go to two-a-day drills, but the weather hasn't been that bad this week, so band looked great out on the field. Excited for the year. Kids are just great, so excited to be back.
What's the tailgate date?
Yeah, what date is it?
Tailgate the 27th.
27th, okay.
Okay. Okay.
I think from 4:30 to 6:30, they have a great menu, and it'll be hopefully all of those going to the Bedford game, home game. We'll get a meal before the play begins, so we're excited.
How much are tickets?
They're usually $10. I would assume we're going to stay with that price. And Chef Mark has a great menu. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
All right, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, Board of Education. First, we have the board policy first reading. The first reading to approve the first reading of the following policy: interscholastic extracurriculum eligibility. And then number 3, which is board policy second reading and adoption of the 2 that we discussed last week, which is
Right.
AC, which is non-discrimination, and AC-R, which is discrimination complaints and procedures.
Correct.
May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Elick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bax.
Yeah, that's me.
Are there any questions? All righty. No questions? Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. No executive.
No.
Okay. Where is the Ike Maxwell, where's that located, going to be at?
Right on the square,
Is that on the
correct?
square?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions for the good of the order?
I move we close the meeting.
Okay. May I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Elick. May I
Second.
please have a second by Mr. Gebhardt?
Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mrs. Segwin?
Aye.
And Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Nice.
You are.
Nice. You go, Yellow.